What's going on, guys? Grinds, welcome back to a very special video. Today we jump into the draft analysis for the PAL, the PAL Pokemon. What is it called? What is the name of this league? I know it's called PAL, but I don't actually know what we're just gonna call it PAL. PAL is a new league that I'm in, and it will take the place of the PCL. Now, the PCL, like I said, I'm not in this season, not because I don't like anyone there. I love the PCL, I do. The reason I'm not in it is because it's 12 weeks long plus playoffs. That's too long for me. I can't do that because this year is too important. I'm in this league because there are 10 coaches, which means there's 9 weeks of playing, which is great. That's really good. So I wanted to be in this league. Also, it has a few people that I really like in there. There's Vino, Matrix. It also has Nickinator from the ACL. Yeah, so there's a ton of people, There's a ton of people that I know and some faces that I don't know. I know most people, I think, but I'm not quite sure. But that's not the main thing. We're here to have fun, we're here to have a good time, and the team that I drafted is very cool. So, going into the draft was a slow draft. It took place over 2 days, and it was actually one of the quickest drafts ever that I've ever taken a part of. Although there were less picks than usual because, you know, instead of being 16 or 12 coaches, there were 10, which means all in all there was only 120 picks, which is usually around 180 or something. So, you know, it was a shorter draft, but even still, people were very snappy with their picks. And I want to shout out everyone in the league for making the draft of the league very bearable. You know, there was never a time where I was just like, fuck, I want to shoot myself. It was never like that at all, which is actually great because the drafts are very tedious. So, starting off, I was first in the draft, which was insane, and I wasn't expecting that because why would you expect that? You don't expect to get first, but I was randomized and I got first. So, I knew what I wanted immediately, and I knew I wanted a few mons. In particular, I wanted Tyranitar. I wanted to use Tyranitar, even though I also have it in the ACL. I wanted to use it again in this one because I just like Tyranitar a lot. I still don't think it's tier 1. I don't think it's a tier 1 mon, but I'm using it again. He wasn't tier 1, I drafted it, and it's going to do well. Tyranitar is a great mon, but I feel like it really is up to the person to make Tyranitar work, which I don't feel like a tier 1 is. I feel like a tier 1 is just a mon that you put on the team that's going to kill a lot of mons. Tyranitar to me is not that mon, but it is still very good. So that's, you know, that's the mon I wanted. I was also thinking about a few other mons. I was thinking about Nidoking. I was thinking about Mega Aggron, was heavily considered. I was thinking about Raikou, you know, for higher tier mons. Lower tier mons, I think maybe like Florges. I was thinking, what else was I thinking? I was thinking about drafting. Jolteon was tier 4 in this league, which is lower than it usually is. Usually it's in tier 3, but they put it in tier 4. So I was like, oh, I could maybe grab that. I didn't, but it was on the table. So yeah, those were my ideas going to the draft, and also because there are only 10 people, all the teams are much stronger than most teams. Because in usually, you know, in the draft league, you'll have 16 teams, and I would say 14 out of the 16 are fantastic if drafted well, and then 2 aren't. Not because of the people drafting it, just because it is a draft, and if you take them on, they can't use it. So if you need that Roserade and somebody else takes it, then you have to deal with a Shaman instead. Shaman isn't a bad mon, but it's not the mon you wanted. Yeah, therefore, you lose the poison type, and your team kind of suffers for it. And that's not really on you. That's just how it happens. With 10 people, that never happened at all. I don't think for anyone. I think everyone's team is very good, and I might go in quickly into detail about what I think about everyone's teams, just looking over it and, you know, looking forward to the season. So, like I said, throw the whole team up on the screen, and I might actually just think about my Z-Mons because I haven't actually put them in. So the mons that I've drafted, 12 mons by the way. I had the first round pick, and I also had second and third round wheel pick. So keep that in mind. It went 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, or yeah, something like that. So the team I've drafted Kyron Black, Mega Scizor, Tyranitar, Landorus, Incarnate, Tentacruel, Heliolisk, Whimsicott, Mesprit, Magmortar, Mismagius, Steelix, and Primeape. So yeah, I like this team a lot. I really like this team a lot. Going into the draft, like I said, I wanted Tyranitar. Landorus Incarnate was moved from tier 1 to tier 2 in this league because there was, you know, not a vote, but, you know, the admins of the league had a discussion and they agreed that Landorus Sandforce could be dropped down a tier. And I was like, hell yeah, so I picked that up. Mega Scizor, I'm surprised it actually came back to me. I was expecting Mega Scizor to go, but like I said, I got Kyurem Black first round, and then there was about 18 picks? 18 picks before I got Scizor and Tyranitar, which I was surprised, yeah, like in 18 picks, 19 picks including Kyurem, I would expect Mega Scizor to go somewhere because I think it's one of the best Megas. In my opinion, but it didn't, so, you know, I'm not gonna pretend I'm upset about it. We got Mega Scizor, and I'm really happy about that. I picked up Tyranitar because I think Mega Scizor and Tyranitar have really nice synergy. The fire weakness being taken by Tyranitar. The sand is really nice, Scizor is immune to it. And the reason I wanted sand with Kyurem is because Kyurem loves chip damage. It really, really likes chip damage, and that's what I kind of try to focus on with this team, at least with a few mons. So this team is kind of built around Kyurem, obviously because Kyurem is my first round pick, but it doesn't depend on Kyurem. I don't like drafting a team that works solely with Kyurem, because if Kyurem dies early into a game, which can easily happen, then I'm screwed. So I kind of built it with the idea that both Landorus and Kyurem could both do work, but also I have Miss Magius there, could do a lot of work. I have Healerless that could sweep 1 week. I have Primate, which is very, very strong. Stuff like that. So, I drafted Kyurem first round, and I knew I wanted a good steel type. I went Mega Scizor instead of Mega Aggron because I liked the U-turn. I like the U-turning a lot. I also like Defog and Roost, which Mega Scizor or Mega Aggron obviously doesn't have Defog, and it doesn't have Recovery, which really holds it back. And then Tyranitar was an easy one because you know, it gives me Stealth Rock, Taunt, Dragon Dance, Rock Polish, a Choice Banded user, Pursuit user. It gives me a lot of stuff. Slow, yes, but it is still very, very good. And also, I don't have to bring sand in it. If I don't want to bring Landorus on weak, I don't have to bring sand or something like that, so that's really nice. I can run on Nerve instead, so that's cool. Landorus and Karen is a funny one because I've used Landorus before, and Tyranitar. Except the difference was Tyranitar was Mega and Landorus was Tier 1. So, as you can kind of figure out, the team suffered. That team consisted also of Tapu Fini, Heatran, Mew. It was a really, really good team. However, Tyranitar was pretty useless that season because every match it was Mega and it just get O-code because Tyranitar has many, many weaknesses. Now with the regular Tyranitar, you can kind of sort of play around with that a little bit easier. You have berries, you can do other things, you can run defensive and not feel weird. Mega Tyranitar, because of its such high attack, I never wanted to run it defensively, even though I definitely should have. But I would build it defensively and then be like, oh wait, it actually does really, really well like offensively, so I changed it, and then it would die in the game and it would do nothing. Regular Tyranitar doesn't suffer from that because obviously it has, you know, berries and stuff like that, and yeah, I think it'll work a lot better. And Landorus works a lot better because it was Tier 2 in this league, which means I don't suffer as much from grabbing Landorus at all. Actually, Landorus was a free pick because it was my only Tier 2. And I know Kyurem is one of my Z-Mons, and I know Landorus is one of my Z-Mons. I'm recording this with the idea of I'm going to try to figure it out. I'm going to try to figure out if my last Z-Mon is Tyranitar or Miss Magius. So you're going to fucking help me with that. So, next Mon is Tentacruel. Now, the reason I went with Tentacruel is because Suicune, Tapu Fini, Toxapex, they were all Tier 2. I needed a Tier 3. Milotic was on the board actually for Tier 3, and I was like, that's really, really good. But I didn't like Milotic because Flame Orb is a really, really good set, but Flame Orb doesn't work well with Sand because instead of taking 6% each turn from Flame Orb, you're taking 12 with the Sand. I didn't like that, and I didn't think it fit. And again, this whole team is built on chip damage for Kyurem, and I wanted Toxic Spikes. I was thinking about getting Salazzle, but then I was like, wait, I want to grab Tentacruel, so I pulled Salazzle back, and then I got Tentacruel. Tentacruel is great because it gives us a Rapid Spinner, which immediately helps out Kyurem and Scizor. It relieves Scizor of defogging duties pretty much every week. And actually I have another defogger, Whimsicott, which is great, because Whimsicott got defog in this generation, which is great, so I can run that if I need to 1 week or so. Which is great, because when the season that I had Scizor, actually both seasons that I had Scizor, in the PCL season 3, and what was the other one? The Elite. In both seasons, Scizor was pretty much designated to defog duties almost every week, and Tentacruel just immediately fixed that. Also, Tentacruel is very, very fast. It has 100 base speed, 80 special attack, which isn't great, but if you know, the speed really helps it. 120 special defense, which means we have a physically defensive tank in Scizor and Tyranitar. Our specially defensive tank in Tentacruel is now here. Tentacruel works really well with Landorus and Tyranitar. Now, with a Sand Core, usually you get Tyranitar Land or Tyranitar Excadrill. And I was like, oh, so I can't get Tentacruel. But then I was like, wait, Landorus is flying, which means it's immune to ground, and my Steel type isn't weak to ground. So getting Tentacruel being weak to ground, because that's the big thing for me with Tentacruel, is that it's weak to ground, and I don't like that. But because I have a Mon that's immune to it, and my Steel type isn't weak to it, I can say I can trade that. So I wanted to go with Tentacruel because of that, and yeah, I don't regret this decision at all. Again, it also gives me Toxic Spikes, which is great, and a Toxic Spikes Absorber, so I will not be beaten with Toxic Spikes pretty much ever, which is really, really nice. Actually, a lot of my team is immune to it. I have Scizor is immune, Landorus, Tentacruel, Mesprit, Mismagius, and Steelix. So half my team, really. 6 months. That's crazy. And yeah, and then I grabbed Heliolisk. I needed a fast electric type. I didn't want to get Jolteon because, I don't know, it's really easy to play around, I feel. Heliolisk isn't as much because it has access to Surf, and I like that. Also, Heliolisk, if you don't know, has access to Sand Veil, which means that it has evasiveness in the sand. Now, I'm not going to play for hacks, but it is cool that, you know, 1 week, you know, I might win just because they miss. You know, you never know. You never know. Obviously, I'm not going to play with the intention of them missing, but if it happens, I'm not going to, you know, be upset. And yeah, Heliolisk, I have a lot of experience using Heliolisk. I used it a long time ago, actually. I used it in the Elysian Season 2, actually, I think it was. But that season, I think actually Heliolisk one game actually got all the kills. I remember that was my favorite moment of using Heliolisk, and I'm hoping the same thing happens again here. 109 speed is nice. It's a decent speed tier, and it's not the slowest man on the team. Whimsicott is actually the fastest man on the team, being 116, which is, I think, okay. Like Whimsicott was the fastest man on my Elysian Season 6 team, and that team won a championship. So, yeah, and also Tailwind is nice. So, yeah, Heliolisk is great with Whimsicott as well. Whimsicott gives us grass, which is fairy. I didn't like a lot of grass types in the lower tiers, and Florges was taken. I wasn't going to get Florges. This plan was actually in effect pretty much after I got Landorus. I was like, okay, these are the mons I'm going to get, and I got these mons. So I'm really, really happy about that. I didn't get sniped pretty much at all. I mean, really. You know, except for obviously Florges taken, so that idea was kind of scrapped. But other than that, like the team that I wanted, I got, so I can't be upset. And Whimsicott is great because Whimsicott, the same thing I'll say in the Elysian draft analysis, it gives Whimsicott as a playmaker. Whimsicott, I love that. Whimsicott as a playmaker because it gives your team something to work towards. It has Tailwind, it has U-turn, it has Memento. It can move the opponent to your will. You can use Whimsicott basically as a mon to checkmate your opponent. I love that. Take a look at Whimsicott there quickly. It's defog now, which is nice, so it just gives us some more support options. It has Memento, like I said. Stun Spore, which is nice. Switcheroo, I forgot about that. Taunt, again, as well, which is great. A lot of taunt users on this team, actually. Trick Room as well, which means, you know, if I want to run Trick Room, I don't have the slowest team in the world. I actually would say my team is very, very fast. But if I wanted to 1 week, I can do that. I can run Trick Room. Maybe with Tyranitar, I'm not sure. But Whimsicott does have access to that. Or actually, I could stop Trick Room by clicking Trick Room and reversing the Trick Room if my opponent uses Trick Room on me. So that's cool. So yeah, Whimsicott also has very, very good synergy with the other mons. You know, Scizor being immune to poison, of course. Tentacruel resisting it. Tyranitar resisting it. And it resists it resists Earthquake, which is nice. It resists fighting, which is nice. And it was just a perfect mon for the team, I feel. I think it's really, really good. And yeah, how many taunt users do I have? I have Tyranitar and Whimsicott, and I don't think Landorus doesn't get it. Tentacruel, do you get taunt? No, you don't. Heliolisk might. No, it does not. That's fine though. I'm not upset. Also, Heliolisk also gives us Dry Skin, which is really, really nice because as you can see from my team, you can kind of just click water moves against me. With Heliolisk there, you can't really, so that's nice. Next up, we have Mesprit. Now, Mesprit was a really, really important mon because I wanted a Psychic type, and for the longest time I was going to get Necrozma, but then, you know, I had this plan of Tentacruel and Heliolisk, and Necrozma was just too high tier. He's tier 2 in this league. Oh, no, sorry, it was tier 1, actually. Tier 1 was split into 2 parts, tier A and tier B. Tier B is obviously less points than tier A, but it's still a tier 1. It's still a lot of points. So I was going to get Necrozma because I do like Necrozma a lot, but I did not grab it. And we grabbed Mesprit in the lower tiers instead. Now, what Mesprit does is it doesn't have recovery. and you know, it doesn't have the best bulk. What it gives us is, it gives us a decent speed tier, it gives us 80 base speed. It gives us decent bulk across the board. It has 105 defense and special defense with 80 HP, which is pretty good. Stealth rock, which is so nice. U-turn, and a possible offensive mon. The reason I like Necrozma so much is because one weekend can be defensive and the second week can be crazy offensive. Mesper won't do that as much. I'm not saying it will, but it can do that to a certain extent. Also, it has levitate, which is the biggest reason I wanted it. Also, sorry, I'm all over the place with this gun. I'm just like this. I'll slow down quickly. It has Calm Mind, so it can sweep things, which is nice. If I run Choice Specs one week, I can run Ice Beam. It does have access to that, which is nice. I can also run Physically Offensive or Knockoff, which is cool. I didn't even know this thing got Knockoff, to be honest, so that's really, really nice. And the other thing is it has Healing Wish, which I really, really like. Healing Wish, you know, obviously, if you know, being able to heal up the mon that you send in next 100%, and that's really, really nice because, you know, if there's a situation where I need Scizor to come in, Mesper can help us out. And also, the big reason is also Mesprit has Levitate, which if I don't have, also actually Miss Magus as well. So actually, I'm not too weak to ground. But up, you know, the last 7 picks, I don't have the best switch in a ground. Whimsicott will probably be my best one. But now I have Mesprit as well. And then coming up in a second, I have Miss Magus as well. So it's not too bad. So, coming up we have Magmortar. Now, Magmortar is definitely a funny pick. It's not the best mon in the world. I'm not going to say it is. Oh yeah, they're still enabled the points that I would, you know, use. It's not the best mon in the world. It was in the same tier as Typhlosion, so I was like, why didn't you get Typhlosion? Or why didn't you get Delphox? Or why didn't you get Turtonator, I think was, oh no, maybe Turtonator was tier 5. The reason I wanted to get Magmortar is because I wanted to try something new. Magmortar has decent bulk. Not the best bulk, but it's decent bulk. 75 HP and 95 special defense. So an Assault Vest, Magmortar makes a lot of sense. It has access to Mach Punch, which is really, really cool in my opinion. That's really, really cool. And it's just a different mon. You know, I've used Typhlosion. I've even used Simisear. You know, I want to use something new. I want to try something different. So I was like, I haven't really taken a lot of risks on this team. Like, realistically, I haven't taken really any risks. I would say Magmortar is my risk. I've taken Magmortar as a risk. I've accepted it's not the best mon in the world, but I'm going to try to make it work. And I'm going to have fun with it. And Magmortar is pretty decent. It's not too bad. Obviously, there are better fire types out there for sure. 100%. I'm not saying there aren't. But Magmortar, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm not sad about it at all. I think Magmortar will make a pretty good impact on this team. And hopefully, as long as I don't fuck it up, which I'm known to do. But as long as I don't fuck it up, Magmortar should actually do pretty well. Miss Magius. Miss Magius came to me pretty easily, actually. I was surprised it did. And while I'm talking, I'm going to look over Miss Magius' moveset because there's Levitate. It's a ghost type. It's immune to fighting, normal, and ground. Straight away, 3 immunities, which is awesome. It has Calm Mind. It has Destiny Bond. Decent coverage. You know, Dark Pulse, Dazzling Gleam, Energy Ball. Obviously, Ghost coverage. Power Gem as well. I didn't even know it got Power Gem. Psychic. This thing's coverage is actually pretty good. Has Will-O-Wisp, which is nice. So, you know, Miss Magius doesn't have the best physical defense, but if you know a mon it needs to go for an attack to hit you, you go for Will-O-Wisp, you live the hit, and then you Shadow Ball afterwards. Cripple them, that's pretty nice. It also has access to Memento, which is really cool. Nasty Plot, which is awesome. So a Nasty Plot plus a Z move is really, really strong coming off Miss Magius. Very, very few things will live a +2 neutral Z move from Miss Magius, you know, realistically. You know, unless you're like a normal type, then you'll probably live like a Psychium Z or whatever. But if you're not a ghost, or you're not a normal type, or you don't resist ghosts, you're going to take a ton from a +2 Shadow Ball, or Z Shadow Ball. So that's really nice. And yeah, it's just a really, really awesome mon. It also has access to Trick Room, which is funny, so I can set it up for something else if need be. In the past, I've used a specially defensive Miss Magius in the past with like Taunt and Will-O-Wisp and stuff like that, which is pretty funny. And like, it also has access to Heal Bell, so it's a bit of a cleric. I really like this mod. I love Miss Magius a lot, and I've drafted it before, but I never really used it. But because now Z Crystals are in the game, Miss Magius has become so much better, and that's why I'm having issues figuring out whether to make Tyranitar my Z-Mon or Miss Magius my Z-Mon, because Tyranitar is not my Z-Mon in the ACO, and there are some weeks where I'm like, I wish I did make it my Z-Mon. But then there are other weeks where I'm like, yeah, okay, it was a good thing I didn't. Then you have a mon like Miss Magius, which is an okay mon, but you give it a Z move and then it becomes a monster. So that's where my, you know, that's where my my conflict lies. Realistically, I probably will make him Miss Maggie's because Tyranitar is great without it. Also, Landorus is one of my Zine ones. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I probably will make Miss Maggie's my Zine one, but I'll think about that for a while. It probably will be. Next we have Steelix. Now Steelix was a mon that I picked only because I realized I had one startling weakness, and that is to rock. You can pretty much click rock moves against me. If you have an Aggron or a Tyrantrum or a Tyranitar, if you have a Mega Tyranitar, you can pretty much just click Stone Edge or Head Smash against me and pretty much just fuck me. So I wanted to get Steelix just to stop that. Also gives me a speed tier I don't have, so Trick Room isn't as good against me because Steelix will be able to pretty much stop it. Gives me another Stealth Rock, which means we have 4 Stealth Rockers, 3 reliable ones, because I wouldn't consider Landorus a very reliable Stealth Rocker. So Tyranitar, Mesprit, and Steelix, those are 3 pretty decent Stealth Rockers in my opinion. And gives me another Steel type, and a Steel type that, you know, I mean, it doesn't resist Ice. But Scizor does. So what is it that... there's a type that Scizor doesn't resist with its Steel typing that Steelix does, and what type is that? Fuck. Flying. It resists flying, that was it. Yeah. So I'm not really afraid as much anymore of bird spam, you know, Staraptor, stuff like that, even though Staraptor does do a lot of damage to my team. But I don't think it was drafted, actually. So Steelix is great. I really like Steelix. I used it in the actually the team where I had Landorus and Tyranitar, and it was honestly one of the standouts of that team because I brought it very few weeks. Granted, I didn't bring it very often, but every time I brought it, it always did work. It always was really reliable, and I'm happy to have it once again. It also gives us a Steel resist, which is nice because, you know, there are some Steel types. I mean, we have Mega Scizor, so we have technically, you know, most people say the best one, but there are some scary Steel types out there, offensive ones like Jirachi and Metagross and Kartana, I guess, and I'm trying to sound like I know the game well. One more Steel type, Cobalion. You know, there are a lot of offensive Steel types out there, so yeah, I'm glad to have Steelix in the team. Is basically what I'm saying. I found him with Primeape. Primeape was tier 6 in this league, so I was like, holy shit, that's a steal. And most people had their fighting types pretty early on into the draft. I think the latest fighting type pick was me, but the one before that was like 7th pick for like Hariyama or something like that. So I knew Primeape was going to be safe when I got it, and I did get it. So Primeape is nice, gives us a close combat, gives us U-turn, which is nice, gives us decent coverage as Earthquake, Overheat. Like who moves like Overheat, is like that. I like that a lot, actually. That's really good. And it gives us like another U-turner. So the thing I love about this team the most is that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 U-turn slash vote switchers, which is nice. We have Scizor, Landorus, Heliolisk, Whimsicott, Mesprit, and Primeape. And I would say that Scizor, Landorus, and Heliolisk and Primeape are very likely to use them. Mesprit might not, Whimsicott might not. So that means we have 4 mons that are very likely to use U-turn, and then 2 mons that can. That's really good in my opinion. In terms of wall breakers, we have Kyurem and Landorus, Tyranitar, Scizor. I would argue Whimsicott, or not Whimsicott. I mean, choice specs, I guess. I was gonna say Mismagius. I guess even Primeape is nice. We have Tailwind. We have a lot of Stealth Rockers. We have Priority. A lot of Priority, actually. You know, Scizor plus Whimsicott, which is nice. We have Hazard Removal, decent Hazard Removal, 2 Defoggers, 1 Rapid Spinner, in my opinion, is all you need. It's all you need. Actually, 3 Defoggers, actually, because Landorus is Defog now. I forgot about that. So, I guess technically 3. So, pretty decent Hazard Removal. And, you know, we are weak to a few types. And this is funny, actually, because Champ in the ACL power ranking said that I was weak to like 5 mons with the same type. And he was saying that's a huge, you know, problem. I don't think that's a problem ever if you have the mons that resist it, and I think I do with this team. I mean, Ice resists, I have Scizor, Tentacruel, Magmortar. Fighting resists, I have Tentacruel, Whimsicott, Mesprit, Mismagius. You know, I have the types to resist, and he was saying that I have a lot of ground weaknesses on the old team. before I got the changes, which I still do have a lot of ground weaknesses. But it hasn't been a problem so far, and I don't think it ever will be unless I really fuck up and don't prep for a mon like Garchomp, which I would never do because it's a Garchomp. If I don't prep for like a Stunfisk, then sure, okay, you got me, because it's a Stunfisk. But I don't think a lot of weaknesses in any draft is an issue as long as you cover those weaknesses, and I think we covered our weaknesses on this team really well. That's kind of why I wanted Magmortar, because it gives us a really defensive, not defensive, it gives us a bulky Ice Resist that Typhlosion or Delphox wouldn't be, because Magmortar can run Assault Vest and stuff like that. So, yeah, we have been recording for about 20 minutes. 25! Holy shit! So I am going to go with Miss Magius as my Z-Mon. Yeah, I'm gonna fucking pop that into the chat. Oh wait, no, we just Z. Yeah, I'm confident about that because not only do I have access to Z Shadow Ball and stuff like that, but I also have access to Z Memento, which can set up Scizor and stuff like that. And yeah. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys have enjoyed, make sure to have you slam the like button down below first and subscribe if you are not already to become a member of the Argonauts. That being said, I hope you guys are excited for the season of the PAL. We have 9 very good opponents, and hopefully we make it to the playoffs, where hopefully we take a championship. It'd be a lot of fun though if we were to do that, and we're using some old faces, some old friends like Kyurem, Scizor, Landorus, Tyranitar, but some new faces like Tentacruel. I've never used Tentacruel. I've never used Magmortar. I've never used Mesprit. I've never used Primeape, so I'm looking forward to that. So if you guys are excited, make sure to have a slam like button down, like I said. And yeah, have yourselves a wonderful day, and bye-bye.